Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Book I've read this week is this one. It's called The Impossible Fortune by author Richard Osman. It was published as a hardback by Viking here in the UK on the 25th of September 2025, and it's a Thursday Murder Club adventure. It's the fifth Thursday Murder Club book. We had a slight detour, or should I say the author had a slight detour last year with a new crime-fighting duo, Steve and Amy, and We Solve Murders. But this year we're back to the Thursday Murder Club, and I think it's fair to say that it was much anticipated. So what's happening with the Thursday Murder Club at Cooper's Chase in this one? Well, they've had a quiet year. Elizabeth has been mourning her husband Stephen, and the others have been given her time because they know that she needs to grieve. Joyce, however, has been busy. Her daughter Joanna is a hedge fund manager who we met in previous books, has had a whirlwind romance with a guy called Paul, a 6-month relationship, and they're getting married. So Joyce is busy with seating plans, catering, etc., getting ready for the wedding. Ron has got some family issues. His daughter Susie is basically married to a wrong 'un, and he's worried about his grandson Kendrick, daughter Susie, and his son Jason shares his concerns. Ibrahim is still providing therapy for well-known criminal Connie Johnson, and apart from that, it's relatively quiet. So, book kicks off with the four of the Thursday Murder Club crew at the wedding of Joanna's wedding. Everything's gone well. They're in a country house, sat out on the terrace after the wedding, and Elizabeth sat there and she's having a quiet think to herself when she's approached by the best man, the guy called Nick Silver. Nick is a university friend of Paul, the groom, and they go way back, so they know each other well. Nick knows Elizabeth by reputation and says, "I need to talk to you." And Elizabeth, she's thinking, "Oh, right, okay, let's hear what he's got to say." And he tells her that someone tried to kill him this morning with a car bomb. This immediately piques Elizabeth's interest. Clearly it would. And all of a sudden, we're seeing a bit more of the old Elizabeth. And she said, "Well, how'd you know it's a car bomb?" He shows her a picture on his phone and says, "Look." And she said, "Well, it certainly looks like a car bomb." And thus the tale starts to unfold. Nick and his business partner, Holly Lewis, run a cold storage company. What that is, where all sorts of organisations can put physical and digital documents into cold storage that aren't attached to the internet, because, as we all know, anything attached to the internet makes you somewhat vulnerable to hackers, etc. So he's saying that they had a customer in their early days that paid them in Bitcoin for their services, and they sort of thought it was a bit of a novelty, weren't that bothered. They've kept on to this Bitcoin, and obviously as Bitcoin has gone through the roof, that what originally was worth about £20,000 in Bitcoin is now worth like 300 odd million. So there are two sets of codes to access the safe with this Bitcoin key. It is kept. Now, Nick's got one, Holly's got the other one. Holly is business partner. So Elizabeth says to him, "Well, who would possibly want to kill you? I mean, clearly there's a motive there. Who would possibly want to kill you?" And he said, "Well, obviously Holly's got the other keys, but it wouldn't be Holly because she's a good lass." We've been talking to a lord who's got contacts with the finance industry to sort of broker a deal with us to sell this Bitcoin. So it might be him. The other problem is that there's a well-known villain, a notorious drug dealer, who's used our services, and he knows about this Bitcoin as well. So thus the tale unfolds. We have a couple of cryptic clues to the code to the safe where the Bitcoin is. We have a murder. Unfortunately, there's a murder. So this gives, and we also have clearly a villain that will stop at nothing. So all this is in the mix, and this eventually gets the Thursday Murder Club engaged. So Elizabeth, Joyce, Ron and Ibrahim are on the trail of finding out how to find out the codes to access the Bitcoin, who's tried to kill Nick and who's responsible for another murder, which we get to in the book. So, really good tale. We've got the usual cast of extras as well, apart from Elizabeth, Joyce, Ron and Ibrahim. We have police officers Donna. Donna's not been allocated the murder case, but she's still working with the crew. Bogdan, of course. Chris, Donna's Oppo, is on firearms training. But it's the usual crew in Cooper's Chase and associated with the Thursday Murder Club. I really enjoyed it. It's a good, cosy crime murder mystery. You feel you get a very warm feeling really, because not only does the author, and there's humour as well, to be fair. Not only do we have a murder mystery, but the author looks at the relationships between the people in the Thursday Murder Club, and you feel as though with some books it takes a while to get into them. With this book, you read the first couple of pages and bang, it feels like it's fitting the glove. So I think it's done with humour, with warmth, and it's a good murder mystery. So I really enjoyed it. I suppose that this is the 5th book in the series, and there have been some subtle changes, I guess, in this book with Elizabeth still mourning her husband, Stephen. Probably Joyce comes to the fore more in this book than she has in previous books. And certainly Joanna, her daughter, is certainly featured more in this book than in previous books. But I think that's a natural evolution, and that's what would happen if somebody was grieving for their husband. So I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend it. My usual comment about hardback books stays true for this one. For those of us that like a nice hardback book, there's a nice little silver embossed fox on the actual cover of the book. So really enjoyed it. 416 pages. There's also a plug for aforementioned, he says dropping the book, aforementioned We Solve Murders. There's the first few pages of that as a teaser, if you will. So really enjoyed it. That's it for this week's brief book review. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.